The one area that I think that I do best for our company, well, better than most, I think, companies, is my marketing and social media capabilities.
Mhm.
I love marketing. Like, if I could just be a marketing media company, I would do it. It's definitely where my passion is, so I'm constantly refining how we do that. It's very overwhelming. Marketing is one thing and PR and social media is another.
Mm.
So to make a flyer is just really kind of boring. I mean, it is, but it takes a skill set, to make good and to write. And you can always use ChatGPT, but we like to make sure that it doesn't sound like that. And so we make sure we edit a lot. But the other part is, how do you promote that and put that out there? I have like 7 social media pages, and we have these calendars that we run and these tools that we use so that we know what we're posting, what we're putting out there, how people portray us, and then how we get them to come to our events. So I think that's one of the areas that I do the best. And I'm constantly changing it, which probably drives everybody in my company a little bonkers, but it does give us a little bit of a leg up.
Well, today we are talking behind the numbers with Heather Herr. Thank you so much for joining me, friend.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So let's just jump right in. So you're in Cincinnati and another market, but tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into real estate. I just kind of kick it off.
So yes, I am in Cincinnati right now, but I'm licensed in Ohio, all of Ohio, but mostly primarily serve Cincinnati up to Dayton, but not too far, which is northern Ohio, and then northern Kentucky, but also kind of midway through, not too far. I would love to eventually be in Lexington, and then Florida. So we're in like the West Coast side, Sarasota, Fort Myers through Naples. So those 3 markets. And I've only been licensed in Florida, gosh, a little over a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And then in Kentucky, probably about 10 years, but my team has been there longer. And then Ohio, over 20 years. So I
That's
started
great.
there.
And
Yeah.
so how big is your group now?
So great question. In Cincinnati, our main team, we have 4 selling agents, including myself. I still do sell. And then we have like 2 showing assistants that help us as well. So there's those 2 additional agents. And then 3 of us are licensed in Kentucky. And then over in Florida, not up, down in Florida, we have myself and 3 other people that are licensed. And they're more of like sub teams that operate. So Naples is about 2 hours away from where I live in Sarasota. So we
Got
all
it.
come together as one company, but the main group, Private Real Estate Collection and Team Her, we're the main hub flag team. And so that's a smaller, medium-sized team, essentially.
So we're calling it a team, but you're at side as your broker of record, which gives you the ability to be in the 3 different states fairly easily. But you operate as a team, but also as a brokerage kind of
You know
there
what I
because
love?
you are a side partner.
Yeah. So the one thing that I've found with me partnering with them is that people see me as my own boutique brokerage. So Private Real Estate Collection, yes, is doing business as side is the name that you don't see. Most people don't really understand what that is. Obviously, they're a platform, a tech platform, so they support us on the back end and bring the broker, which is actually something that I don't want to do. I know a lot of people become brokers, but I also still like selling and I love marketing. So that is one of the reasons why I wanted to be able to easily navigate through multiple states without having to give up half my commission, do a 50-50 thing in, like, let's say Florida. Because my experience there was, is new. I was a new agent, but I knew that by purchasing the home that I did, that eventually I would be a neighborhood agent and I would sell $6 million houses. So why would I want to give up all my commission? So that was kind of the idea behind doing that. And
Very
then came
smart.
Her. Yeah.
And so then geographically, your primary market is Cincinnati. How far is Kentucky for you to the areas that
So
you serve?
great story. Cincinnati is on the edge of the Ohio Kentucky River. Our airport's actually in northern Kentucky. So for me to get from where I work right now to the airport is like 20 minutes max. So I'm usually selling in northern Kentucky up to like about an hour away. And the traffic is not great there right now because we're redoing one of the bridges, but it's so easy to navigate both sides of the river. So it almost feels like the same state.
So where you are geographically, would you say most agents are dual state licensed?
Funny enough, like you would think they would be, but they're not. And the reason I did that, I do a ton of work in downtown Cincinnati. So a lot of urban properties I work with a lot of developers. So, conversion, condo opportunities. So I was basically giving away business if someone's like, I want to go across the river and see this townhome. So I'm like, this is terrible. Like I didn't want to have to deal with that. So it just made sense for me to get license or have people on my team And then sometimes, obviously I can refer the business to someone on my team, but my clients, occasionally they don't want to do that or they want me to list their property.
That's very cool. So now let's talk production. Your small but nimble team brokerage. How many transactions did you guys do last year?
Last year we had one of our best years. We did 288 homes, and that was in Ohio and Kentucky. And then we also did, gosh, a handful, like 20 or so in Florida, which the reason we didn't do a ton there is because we had massive hurricanes where I was serving. And so that's all rebuilding down there. But we did a lot, mostly Ohio, but still I'd say a good number of those were Kentucky as well.
That's very cool. So the conversation that we like to have is about your technology and about your tech stack. And being that you're a side partner, it's a little bit different because there is technology there that you get from your brokerage. So can you break it down, kind of like what is it that you're getting from your brokerage that you're utilizing?
Yeah, so it's great. We were just talking about this because I have an intern starting. So we were going through all of how it works out. On their platform, when I first started, I was utilizing some of the software because I already had that where I was at prior. I was a Coldwell Banker prior to being on my own, which I was like the top agent there, by the way. They were like, why are you leaving? They were taking pretty good care of me. I just wanted to do my own thing. But we're using, like, for example, the side app that they have, we actually do use that for compliance. But we use other software systems outside of it for writing contracts because in Ohio, we use something called Dotloop and other agents love it more. So we kind of flip flop. In Florida, I use it, but not that for everything. But that's one of their main things that they have, which I think is very good.
Mm-hmm.
We also use Moxie, which we had at Coldwell Banker for listing presentations. I love it. I've been a huge user of it. I get almost every listing from it.
So Moxie Present.
Yes, but not the CRM. Right. Kind of a pain sometimes because, you have to constantly upload and change it, but I really do like it. And then we also use from a side Follow Up Boss, which I do love that CRM. I would say that I'm not exactly a power user because I don't use a lot of the automations in there since most of my business is referral.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's very robust and I like how it connects with the other things that we use. And then we also use ActivePipe. That's something else that Side does provide. I don't know if I love it yet, and maybe it could be me. I'd rather just stay inside of Follow Up Boss. I feel like it does almost the same thing, but it's nice to have options.
I mean, it's nice because of the how it connects together if you are sending out the emails from one to the other.
And let me check my notes here, but I have a couple other things in here too. Those are the ones that are pretty much offered through them. I mean, of course, there's other things that they offer, such as we have relationships with like companies that do virtual staging. I don't really need that as much. And just a couple other things like we do now get offered Canva through Side, which is great. I still, believe it or not, because I'm crazy, have my own Canva accounts because I had worked so hard to get it set up that I'm having a hard time letting go of that team version that I have. And so eventually I'll probably transfer unless I go and do Maxa, which we'll talk about, but I'm really excited about that. And I think that's a no-brainer for us.
And that's interesting because you just recently started going down that channel of is there a better product to help with the marketing component of it, and found Maxa. Yep. What did you think of it? I mean, I know you haven't implemented it yet, but what was your initial thoughts?
I'm blown away. What I like about it, because we take so many properties. I mean, okay, so of the 288 homes that we sell a year, I would say maybe less than half, but let's say half of the homes are listings. Mm-hmm. And imagine you have one marketing person and all of us, we're all pretty good in the social marketing area, but there's still a lot of demands on that person. And so especially in the spring market, we have 30 houses going up in 1 month or maybe 50. And that person is like, oh my gosh, there's like what gets what. So and still in Canva, you still have to create the folders, import the pictures, do all that kind of stuff. Like at Side, we did have something similar to that called Mark, which I didn't care for as much. But this program, though, I feel like what I love about it, it has like everything in one spot and it enables agents to go in and really change it if they want, if they like a certain thing, or just it's one click type of thing. Mm-hmm. And we still an admin for that, but at least that keeps it very organized so that we can focus on other types of social media and stuff.
Yeah, the automations and the ability to really control and protect the brand, but that single person's able to do so much more than they would have otherwise.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at what you offer, I mean, you're not a traditional brokerage, so you're not out going and recruiting a bunch of agents and trying to onboard a bunch of people. So we're not necessarily looking at what your value proposition is as a broker to others, right?
Right.
Like, so,
Right.
but you do have agents that want to come and work with you and your brand and your brokerage. What do you think the differentiator is about why people want to come and work with you?
Well, what I've heard, I mean, we have a new person on our team right now that I'm very picky, first of all, about anyone that comes onto our team or even in the company because we're more of a boutique and I don't want massive amounts of people. I feel like it's a culture killer. And scaling too fast and having a huge team. I mean, it looks great on paper, but it's a nightmare. I've been there. I've learned the hard way, especially when I first came over to side. A lot of my people didn't understand. So now we're very particular about the types of people we bring in. Do they fit well with the culture? Are they good producers? I think other people see that, and I'm getting almost on a daily basis, people will call me and say, "Oh my gosh, I love so and so that just came over to you. Like he's the greatest. I can't believe you recruited him." Well, I didn't recruit him. He came. But they also see us socially, like we do a lot of events and social media. So it's how we look, I think, out there to other people that we have fun, that we help each other, and that we operate truly like a really good company. And that's a great thing. But I think mostly it's that. I mean, do I recruit? I've actually tried to recruit a couple times. Didn't work out. People always think there's a better carrot dangled somewhere else. And I have no regrets because I don't think they would have ultimately been a good fit. So sometimes it just kind of works itself out with the people. But
Well,
right
and the more
now,
you grow too, I mean, you would have to really look at a trade off about your production, like personally, versus how much it would take to offset the lack of production or what you would have to give up to have more
so true.
agents.
And one of my goals with private real estate collection would be to have 10 sub teams. So that means like I want to take an agent that's doing 5 million a year and they want to do 30 million. And I have actually shown people in the past how they can 10x. Every single agent has ever worked for me has done that, despite leaving or not. And they go and then they try to do their own thing. So I'm very like focused on helping them achieve that goal, whatever it is. And a little hard on them sometimes, but it works.
And I mean, most people come to you, they're not necessarily looking for the handout of the next lead. It's, how did you do it, and giving them the replicatable process, maybe not the systems, but the process, because you're very much sphere of influence, repeat customer referral.
Percent. Almost all the people that I work with are referrals. And I mean, yes, I do buy leads and we can talk about that system later, but I don't use a single lead. I do it just to feed them. But I do feel like the people that do work with me, I like throw them in my car or we do open houses together. Like I'm very still invested in working inside the business with them for now because I really do enjoy it. I love what I do.
Mhm.
Now I have a great process of being able to hand it off. I can operate without being there for a month, but if I want someone to really grow and learn, I really want them to be around me. Even if it's just coming to an event or coming to an appointment with me. And I do think that's really worked and gone a long way. I guess
Yeah.
it's like by mumbling. So, the business.
So you do a lot of your business personally is sphere of influence, past customer, network. Is there anything, I mean, you use Follow Up Boss, but like what other piece of technology actually helps you keep in touch with that group?
So I love Real Scout. I know we have talked about it before, but we use Real Scout. I think it's one of the greatest for me this year tools that I have invested in. I get probably one or two people on a weekly basis that I haven't talked to, and that's my bad, but in like 3 years, and they go, "Oh my gosh, we're thinking about selling now. We got your email." So there are some automations in there through Follow Up Boss that I'm using, not a ton, and that's been great. Well, first of all, I use Follow Up Boss just like anybody would use a regular CRM. I know there's a lot of controversy around that because they'll say, "Oh, Zillow's going to steal your leads." I'm like, listen, it's like going to a hairdresser. If they want to steal my leads, they can, but my people are going to go wherever I go. So they can see I don't care if people see it. I actually almost act like when I use the software, I act like people can't see it. Like I want people to see how good that we're using it. So I make everyone in the company like use it and record things. That's been great. We also use Fellow. I was just on a webinar for Fellow. I'm not using it the way that I could, but I absolutely love how I can go in and tell someone, I know exactly how much you own your home. I know how many houses you have. I know if you have a second mortgage. I know all that, which does empower me going into a listing appointment. And I use that every time. So those are two really good tools. And then in order to keep our deals really organized outside of Follow Up Boss, We use Trello. I think it's really more for my operations manager. She likes having those boards and everything separate. So we almost use it like Slack. And we do have Slack, but we have so many things we probably don't need. I think Slack's great, but Trello almost acts the same for us.
And it seems to be a common denominator when you start looking at it. You don't see Slack, Monday, Trello really marketed to real estate agents or brokerages or teams, but how many of them really do operate that way because it's more efficient and more, I think, organization. I think Slack is great. I think that any team or brokerage should really be running that on there because it helps work-life balance, one, but also the different channels and the different, whether you're categorizing it by properties or by open houses or by, compliance or marketing really does help. And then you look at the way that organization's done with the moving of cards around through, the Mondays or the Asanas, and keeping track of it really helps a lot of people with that.
Well, it also cuts down on communication. I can't tell you, I get like 85 texts every hour and I'm like, oh gosh, it's too much. And then you lose important things. So right, if it's there, you can always go back to it, check on it, and it lives there. I'm still trying to get my team to really understand that on the Slack side, but they go to Trello, which basically they're connecting. So they basically work the same.
That's cool.
One or the other. But I agree with you. I think Slack is probably better.
Yeah. So when you get a referral from a client, is there anything that you do specific?
So yeah, so I always put them into Follow Up Boss, because if it's not a referral and I'm getting the lead from, let's say, Zillow. And by the way, that's a whole nother conversation, but I do still buy leads from Zillow. Things are changing, obviously, but it's been very good for me. I've been with them almost 15 years. And the areas that I chose are areas that are hot markets for me. And so I become like every call that comes in, we can get it done. Those automatically go into Follow Up Boss. But if someone gives me one, I usually put them in there, do a little research. Once you enter it, then it connects with Real Scout and Fellow automatically. Go out, I look at both of those, try to get a little bit of understanding about the person. Then I usually just reach out to them from Follow Up Boss because it tracks like my emails in there. And then I set an appointment and I start working on, the Moxie or whatever it's going to be, and get all that prepared ahead of time. But I could do all of that within like 10 minutes.
And so the person that sent you the referral, and this is me leading the witness here, I guess, but I don't know your answer. What do you do for the person that sent you the referral?
Well, that's a great question. Well, other than a tip fee if they ask for one, we have set that up too. I don't know. Should I do more? A thank you note? I need to send a present, I guess.
Thank you note's great. It's interesting. So I've had people say that they instantly send them a Starbucks, text message gift card, or they get entered into Client Giant, and Client Giant then sends them, a quarterly or an annual gift as a thank you. Like, so I figured there was something there that you did that was like, an immediate, like, rewarding of the, hey, congrats on, thank you for the referral.
I guess we kind of do, because we do a ton of events at least once a month, and then also every quarter, and then once every year. So if I know somebody is doing a lot for us, I will specifically send them something in the mail. Like, for example, I had this client that moved out of town, and I had this beautiful picture of their house made here when they moved, and they had referred someone. So I sent them a print of it, and then the person as well. And they love that. But I think it's just based on, how many of those things we have. The events that we have, people love. We do them at the social club that we own, and we always have giveaways, and they just think it's so great. We give away pumpkin pies. I mean, I'm sure a lot of real estate agents do that, but we do them so frequently that I feel like they almost feel like they have a place to go, our social club, and then they get to interact with us and be together. And that's something we do quite a bit.
That's so cool.
Events are hard, but good.
So when you look at technology, I mean, being that you're at a brokerage that actually does provide you stuff, versus the stuff that you are investing in your own, how do you look at it? Is like with your philosophy, are you buying everything? Have you built anything?
So what have I built? Other than the systems, processes of how we operate, I'm buying most of the stuff outside on my own, independently, yes. And when I say built, the one area that I think that I do best for our company, well, better than most, I think, companies, is my marketing and social media capabilities. I love marketing. Like, if I could just be a marketing media company, I would do it. It's definitely where my passion is. So I'm constantly refining how we do that. It's very overwhelming. Marketing is one thing and PR and social media is another.
Hmm.
So to make a flyer is just really kind of boring. I mean, it is, but it takes a skill set, to make good and a right. And you can always use ChatGPT, but we like to make sure that it doesn't sound like that. And so we make sure we edit a lot. But the other part is how do you promote that and put that out there? I have like 7 social media pages, and we have these calendars that we run and these tools that we use so that we know what we're posting, what we're putting out there, how people portray us, and then how we get them to come to our events. So I think that's one of the areas that I do the best.
Hmm.
And I'm constantly changing it, which probably drives everybody in my company a little bonkers, but it does give us a little bit of a leg up. And then when you go into a listing appointment, they're like, we see you everywhere, because they see it, which is good.
Yeah.
I think.
What do you think is one of your biggest friction points with your technology right now?
Friction. Let me think about this. I know the answer to that. So one of the hardest things I think for us and maybe everyone is the listing side is hard because our people demand a lot more, right? So our processes of wheeling, like we have 288 homes a year. We know exactly what to do. We turn it in, we get it done, we close it, boom. But I think on the listing side, it's a little bit more complicated because of the process of going to the house, getting in the system, putting together the report, coming up with the marketing. How are you going to market it? Where's it going to? And then there's a little bit of a disconnect for us. So for that process system, in my opinion, is probably the hardest. I would say that almost every agent that I know that's doing the amount of volume would agree with that. If someone came up with a plan for that, I would be like, yes, that's the hardest part.
Is the tracking of it and making sure it all stays going?
And we do track it, but I think because listings are so unique and we like marketing so much that's where it becomes difficult because our clients want one thing and the agents often will say, "Oh my gosh, I have to have this brochure by tomorrow. I've got to have all these things." And things take time sometimes. It's like you can't just like magic wand, you're going to have it. So coming up with a way to make it really perfect is almost impossible. So educating the client and saying, hey, if we have your house go up on a Friday and we don't get pictures back till Wednesday, you're not going to have a brochure in your house. But by the way, we put a brochure in every house. We make it very beautiful. People know that. Like we have these fun folders that we make, everything. And that does set us apart. But I think that's the biggest thing is trying to manage the amount of business that we have coming in and then also the expectations of the client and getting all that stuff done in the right and within a week sometimes.
And you market houses anywhere from, the lower entry level price point to the estates in your area.
Yes. So I take sometimes we have $150,000 condos that they might be owned by someone that is a billionaire and they have a bunch of condos. So we treat every client the same. I know that everyone wants to do just luxury, but sometimes luxury is really never sells, or you're just spinning your wheels. So I think having an array of price points is really great for us. And you just never know who you're going to be working with because sometimes they repeat customers 10 times. But we definitely, I'd say, in Ohio, my average sale price is much higher, but we would sell anywhere between, 100,000 condo up into a $4 million property. And you can get quite a lot for that much money. So it's good.
Do you have a dashboard or a metric you look at every day or every week to see how the team's performing?
Well, I have a call tomorrow. I have a meeting with my operations person to talk about that. We use primarily the follow-up systems, and then we have a spreadsheet that we built. Actually, when I said we don't have our own things, my husband, loves spreadsheets. I hate spreadsheets, literally hate them. That's why I like marketing, but he has this master spreadsheet that my operations person manages with us, and we always put it out there and we go through all of our numbers all the time, and it's pretty robust. He built that. And then we can just input information into that. In the perfect world, I'd like to see it in one of the systems that we have. We had used for a while, I can't think of the name right now, a system like that, but we weren't really big enough at the time. And it was just really, it was taking up too much time versus just using our own tool. So we do use that. And we do quarterly checks with all the agents on our team to make sure they're making their goals. So we have a yearly meeting where we ask the agents, like everyone fills out a form of, what their goals are. And then we break it down by quarter, and then we meet every quarter to make sure they're on track. And that's been great because that's really the
cool.
truth. Yeah.
Okay. So God, I feel like I like to ask people like, what's one piece of technology you would create that doesn't exist? And I think you've already kind of answered that a couple different times. indirectly. So we'll skip that question unless you think there's something that like stands out to you.
I'd like to take the spreadsheet king out of the picture here and be the spreadsheet queen. I hate spreadsheets though. I mean, I know that like there's Gemini and ChatGPT and all these things, but the one that he has built for us is so robust. It's also very hard to read, in my opinion. I'm a visual person. So I don't know. I'm still working on trying to make that a little bit easier, so that it can serve each agent at a better level. I'm sure there's probably something like that out there that I'm missing, but for the most part, that would be it. And then the other would be, and I know I talked to you about this, but the listing process, when you're doing the volume we're doing, it can be exhausting because we get calls every day for new listings. So they have to get inserted in there. And how do you calendar it so that you're not spinning your wheels and you're focusing on the wrong one at the wrong time?
Mm-hmm.
So if 10 going on the market, where do you focus and who's doing what? Trello does help with that, but it's not automated the way it should be.
Yeah. Well, and I think even as you start, because I assume you really haven't brought any AI into your spreadsheet either, where you're asking it questions and then it's, the AI is being answered from what's on the spreadsheet.
I mean, the one that Jeff has, we do. So we do use Gemini with all the AI. I know like my admin team, I have the paid for ChatGPT. I know Claude's out there. I haven't really dove into that, but I was looking on my notes to see. We use the AI tools within Real Scout and Follow Up Boss and also Fellow, but not as much in the reporting aspect of it, which I want to get better at, to be honest with you. So you just click a button and there it is, right away.
You might really like Sisu.
So we did try, that's the one I couldn't think of. I love Sisu. Going backwards, I used to work for a software company before I got into real estate. Siebel Systems, I know you've heard of it. I was a CRM person. I mean, gosh, this was so long ago. I was writing software programs, not like the program, but like the manuals, and then teaching people how to use them. And I traveled all over the world doing that, and I fell in love with it. And that was when no one was using that. Healthcare systems were starting. So I got to go to Asia and a lot of places to train it. So I realized the importance of it back then. I mean, look how much it's changed, over the day. But Sisu kind of reminds me of that. And I feel like it's a little too complex, in my opinion, for the size of company we are now. If I have 10 sub teams, which I will, it would be perfect because I can see every single person everywhere. So we took a little hold on that.
Fair enough. I think I would disagree that you're too small, being that it's easier to implement and getting used to something on a smaller scale than trying to do it when you get big enough.
So maybe it's time to revisit. And I think part of that was when I first started with Side and kind of learning how to do every single thing myself, that we were overwhelmed with too many systems. I mean, you listen to the AI noise all the time. It's like you can almost slow yourself down by trying to do too much. So you have to really narrow down what's working for you and what's not and just focus on that. But maybe it's time to revisit again.
It very well could be.
Yeah.
Digital. What do you do for your website?
So I have two, actually. I work with Agent Image, who I love. I've been with them since I started. Gosh, I probably didn't have a website the first 5 years, but for 15 plus years, I've been with them. I also use Luxury Presence for my other company website. And then all the agents in my company have their own websites. A lot of them are using both. They're mixed between the two. And we also use Luxury Presence to build individual websites. We have a 70 house development coming up and we built our own. It's pretty easy to use. I mean, it's actually really easy to use. So I love that. And Side does cover that single property website. I mean, it's pretty robust and easy to work with. I will say their little chat bot inside there, if you have a question, it's like 1 second later, they're on it. They are. Agent Image has been awesome too because I have been working with them so long, so they respond immediately as well. They're both great. I love them
great.
both. The
Well,
website,
it's a unique situation where you have multiple sites, and doing different things. I think it goes to show that, I mean, you're doing it with Fellow and Real Scout also. You kind of have redundancies in place for, the different capabilities of the products.
But don't you think sometimes that's good if you're like trying to figure out which one you like the best? I would say that if you asked every person in my company which one they like more, they would say they like Real Scout more.
Well, and I look, I mean, we're using ChatGPT and we're using Claude, and sometimes one things, I mean, especially with the evolution of AI right now, it is, I think, different to see that and having a redundancy and going back and forth between the two. And sometimes different price points, different customers react differently to different
True.
platforms.
The nice thing though, and so in Follow Up Boss, if you have them connected properly, you go to the person's page and it will show you the two different, Real Scout links and Fellow links. So if they get pinged too much, they're going to lose their mind. But I have yet to have a person say to me, turn this off. They will just turn it off themselves, but they are literally clicking on it on a daily basis and two different sides. So in Kentucky, I'm finding people like Fellow more. This is true. And Cincinnati, they like Real Scout. And in my own neighborhood where everyone is older, because I've sold 500 homes there, I thought for sure no one was going to read it. All the old people are coming out of the woodwork. Like, oh, I just saw the ping. I'm like, I didn't know you read email, but I guess email marketing's back now. So it's been pretty interesting. So I don't know how long we'll do both, but I'm testing the waters. And so for me right now, it's been definitely ROI positive because of the amount of listings that I've gotten from both of them.
That's cool. Do you do print also?
A little. So we print brochures that we create through Canva or whatever we use, and we will definitely use Core Effect to print them to their house. It's just a folder, pretty much say it's like a bifold. Then we'll in-house make our own feature sheets. So we do have a lot of in-house stuff that we do with our own printers. So we'll make a 1 or 2 page depending on the size of the house, and then that way if the price changes or the marketing remarks change, we can just swap it out. And
Oh, I like that. So you're not having to reprint the entire brochure because the price changed.
I've learned the hard way because everyone's like, oh, there's a typo or whatever. So now we just put the address, all the photo, like the agent on the back, our logos, the house pictures, and that basically folds like a regular folder. And then we just put it in the front when you get there, and then we just put everything inside of it, and people love it. They just go crazy over it.
Oh, that's cool.
And we usually don't order that many. We used to do postcards a lot. I built my entire career on postcard 20 years ago. I would send the same neighbors this like a different postcard every single month. And eventually I got one deal and then I got 400 deals. I have not sent a postcard in the last 3 years, but
I had conversations where there's a lot of people that think that print is coming back because it is less congested of a mailbox than the email inbox is now.
I think email marketing is coming back. Isn't that weird? So I used to hate emailing, but the other day I sent out an email to, gosh, I'm thinking we have this big property coming up. I sent probably just to like 2,000 agents or so. And then some other clients that meet that zip. And I did it through Follow Up Boss and we put a template together. I had 2 people reach out that wanted to see it that I'd never met in my life that were referred from someone else, and almost a 70% open rate. But maybe it's because I don't send a lot. Like I don't do a boring newsletter like, oh, these are the sales of the week. Like no one cares. Do you know what I mean? It's more like
probably got a good open rate because you're inviting people to your events, or it's always something of value, not necessarily here's another just listed email.
That's so true. Or like, I love like market updates and everything, kind of. But I feel like that, I don't know. I just feel like most people can see that. I mean, maybe we send that to our people that we know are currently in the market, but we try to be careful about spamming people's emails. But I think email marketing is kind of making a comeback. And only because I've noticed like older people that were not on email in the past are on there more because of Facebook, and they're actually reading their emails. So a lot of the people in the neighborhood I live in, it's historic, they read every email. They love it. So it depends on the community.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so switching directions, what do you think is the most misunderstood thing about working on a team?
Well, that's good. I wish they were all in here. Some of them are. Okay, so I think people think when they're on a team that you can't be your own brand, that you're under the leader and it's all about that person and you don't get paid that much and blah, 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 that kind of stuff. There's some truth to commission splits being lower on a team because the team lead, for example, like me, helps pay for a lot of the bills, their own bills, all their marketing, the staff. So basically every single deal when they have it, it gets handed off to a staff member that carries it all the way through. And they're there just to be the touch base person and say hi and make sure everything's good. And the other thing is I encourage my teammates to actually brand themselves within our brand. So it's not about me, it's them. And we work really hard on their marketing and making sure their branding is in line with us. And I think a lot of people on a team don't see that in other companies, but then they see us and they really like how we do that. And so I've had a lot of agents reach out and ask about that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where do you think the team structures transition to in the future,
I
or
know.
brokerages? I mean, I think this is an interesting perspective because I asked this question to teams that are, really big teams, and you get one thing, but you're a brand at a brokerage, so you're operating as a team per se, but you are also a brand in a brokerage. Where do you think that the cloud based
That's a good
system
question.
goes to kind of help you in the way that you run your business and help the industry?
Well, I think so, depending on where you are. So let's say Coldwell Banker, you're always going to have teams everywhere because
Hmm.
there's always new agents. I think if you're a new agent, like being on a team is the greatest thing. You get thrown into the action, you learn everything, but they're always going to leave. They're going to take the ideas, they're going to leave, and then leave you hanging or whatever. Because I can't dangle a carrot like Coldwell Banker does, like come take some money. Which, by the way, like offline, they've done that with my people, and I'm like, okay, first of all, it's a lie because they're going to want you to pay back every penny if you don't stay for those years. So you're kind of in jail. So that's fine. Go be in jail if that's what you want. But let's talk about how you'll actually make more money in this model. So I think teams will always exist, especially for people that is like one person and then they need helpers. But I think the team, like the kind that I have, the way that it will exist best is to have sub teams under your brand and help them become exactly what you are, and then really give them the coaching and then the technology training and the tools so that they can do that as well. Because ultimately, that's what they want. They want to be that person, but it takes time. I mean, it took me, what, 10 years to become like a neighborhood agent. And if anyone thinks I'm ever giving that up, like I'm going to be like in my walker running around the neighborhood, because I built that and I think there's value to that. So could I always have a million people wanting to come in? Probably. But what I really want to do is position some people on my team to become that person too. And so that's really where I train them. So I think the future will be like that, especially with the cloud base. I know a lot of these cloud-based companies, I hear it a lot from people. They're like, I get nothing, I get no training, no one talks to me. So I think you have to really be on top of constant virtual things or meetups or events. Like for example, we take our team to events and we do a lot of fun stuff like that so they can be in the mix with you. So it creates a good culture and also it creates trust. And I think they would think twice about taking that carrot. Yeah, I mean, money's money, but I don't know how it pays off long term for some people. That's all. I mean, I will say
Yeah,
this last thing is that my higher mission for the people that work with me is that they can learn and grow. So I will continuously add more things to help them become better. So they will never have to worry. They will always do more than they did the last year with working the same. Does that make sense? As long as they trust me and they learn the process. So I think that keeps my top people in. My top agent sold 71 houses last year
that's impressive.
and she gets trust.
That's a lot of houses for one person.
She is really good. But she also has great tools and great support. And I think if she did 150, I'd be like, okay, we got to get more support in here. I brought in a showing assistant just to help her at one point. And, then you have to train them. So that's the other thing. So keeping that person feeling good too. So maybe throwing them a couple things. That is a lot. That's a lot of houses.
What was your first hire?
Oh, that's a great question. So I was doing everything on my own when I first started for like 15 years. I brought in a transaction coordinator and one buyer's agent. I did not know what I was doing. Transaction coordinators back in the day were so different. They would work for like 5 people in a brokerage, so you would get them occasionally. And so I did have this girl that I really liked, and she was older, and so she did come over with me until she eventually retired, and we're still really close. But at one point, she's like, "I cannot. This is like 300 homes a year is a lot." So it was a lot for her. But then I brought in one person, then I brought in another, and then guess what happened? At one point, I became this huge team. And it just got too big and too crazy inside the room. And a lot of entitlement started happening and people fighting with each other about deals. And that's when I knew I had to kind of pull back a little bit. So, yeah. But mega teams are hard, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean
Yep.
you're running a brokerage essentially.
Right. I mean, it can be good. I like sometimes big groups can be great. I just think for me personally, I wanted more. I wanted each of my people to do tons of deals and make money that way. So then I would bring staff in on the back end and the tools to build it. So now with all these tools out there too, one other thing I would add is that you could have a million tools. I still think you need people. And that's the one thing I don't want to cut ever is the people, the humans, because they, even though they're doing and helping the tools, that's what makes our company so great is that we still have people. I love that.
I mean, as much technology as you can possibly throw at something, there still has to be somebody there on the other end that's helping navigate it and implement it and do that. And make sure that you're getting adoption. Because look, as much technology as you have and that you offer to agents, if they're not utilizing it, you're wasting money. You know, similar like Slack, you know, you're paying for Slack per seat. That's expensive.
It's a lot.
And there's a powerful reason why you have it and utilize it. And so making sure that everybody's using it, you know, in addition to the CRMs and the Real Scouts and the other pieces that you have, if it's not being used, it's just costing you money.
I know. I'm sure like if you took a poll of every agent to go through their subscriptions on their phone of all the apps that they bought, they probably would realize that they have tons of stuff in there. So like on a monthly basis, I go through a P&L. I'm like, what is this? I mean, there's all this stuff that you forget about. So then we kind of fix that, but it is important. You're right.
I mean,
Like
I look at QuickBooks and everything gets categorized and there's one section on there for, you know, automatic dues and subscriptions. And I can see what's there because otherwise you're just going through credit card reports, but
totally.
that's the difference. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. This was awesome.
It was great.
If you don't follow Heather, go follow her on Instagram. Watch where she takes her car through the car wash. And
Had a good one last week.
thank you for the time.
Thank you.